The boy with black eyes is an urban legend in the United States. The eyes of the boy with black pupils were very special and terrifying. The eye sockets were pitch black, with no whites or pupils. There was a crystal clear black sphere in the eye sockets. The black-eyed boy usually appears in twos and threes, suddenly appears in front of people, and makes some kind of request to people. If the request is not granted, the black-eyed boy will get angry and go crazy. There are legends about the boy with black eyes appearing in different regions around the world, but no one can provide some definite evidence to confirm that this boy with black eyes exists. Regarding the black-eyed boy, the earliest sighting is also the most famous, which occurred in 1998. Besso, an American journalist and moderator of a well-known forum in the United States, once shared his experience of encountering a boy with black eyes on the forum. In 2013, I shared this experience in a radio interview. In 2013, through the dissemination and publicity of the radio station, his experience became a relatively famous case in the history of the boy with black pupil, and it also accelerated the spread of the boy with black pupil on a global scale. Besso's story begins in 1998. On the evening of January 16, 1998, he was writing a check in a car next to a movie theater. Suddenly two children came over and knocked on his car window. Because he kept his head down and concentrated on writing the check, he was startled by the sudden knocking on the window, and then subconsciously rolled down the window. After rolling it down, I looked up and was startled into a cold sweat. Standing outside the car door were two children. The two children looked to be 11 or 12 years old, and they were dressed neatly and normally. But their eyes had no pupils, no whites, and were pitch black. And very bright. It looks very scary. The two children knocked on the window and talked. "Uncle, let us in. If you don't invite us, we can't come in. Let us come in." As he spoke, he turned on the door handle. Besso was so frightened that he rolled up the window, started the car and drove away immediately. A woman shared her experience while chatting with netizens online. What happened to her was that she was visited by a black-eyed boy. She thought the child might have gotten lost at night and couldn't find his mother, so she felt soft-hearted and wanted to open the door. Out of safety precautions, she took a look at the peephole. After one glance, she immediately gave up the idea of opening the door because she discovered that the child standing outside the door had all his eyes covered. It was black, with no pupils and no whites of the eyes. It was very scary. As soon as she was frightened, she immediately replied, "I'm not very convenient right now, but I can call the police for you, so just don't come in." But what she didn't expect was that the child outside the door was very polite, as if he knew that the lady was scared. The child replied, "You don't have to be afraid, just open the door and borrow a mobile phone." After hearing these words, the lady was relatively relaxed, but then she suddenly felt a sense of oppression coming over her. I couldn't help but go over and try to open the door. Fortunately, after struggling a few times, I finally got the better of my senses and didn't open the door, and immediately called the police. When the police arrived, the child was gone. Since this incident, the black-eyed boy has gained another ability, which brings a sense of oppression and can disturb people's spirits. The black-eyed boy always makes requests, hoping to get permission. If you choose to refuse, he will still keep begging you. There seems to be no other way. This is one thing they have in common. In March 2013, in a small town in Middle Tennessee, the United States, the protagonist of the story was named Cliff, and the time was around 9 o'clock in the evening. Cliff was at home alone at that time. he was playing games at home and was having fun when he suddenly heard someone knocking on the door. Anxious to play the game, he went straight downstairs and opened the door without even looking. After opening the door, he saw two little boys standing outside the door. One of the two little boys is taller and stronger, the other is smaller and thinner. The two children kept their heads down, looking very shy. After opening the door, one of the children said, "Hey, hello, we seem to be lost. We want to borrow the bathroom and make a phone call." After hearing this, Cliff let them in without thinking, and enthusiastically told them where the bathroom was. As soon as the two children entered the house, Cliff suddenly felt something was wrong and had an ominous premonition. At this moment, the little boy who was walking to the bathroom suddenly turned around, stared directly at Cliff, and said, "Do you have any question?" Cliff raised his head and met the little boy's eyes. Only then did he realize that the little boy's eyes were pure black, with no whites, no pupils, and the sockets of the eyes were pitch black. Cliff was frightened and turned quickly to look at the other child. The other child was exactly the same, and it was only then that he realized that the two children were one behind the other, sandwiching him in the middle and surrounding him. At this time, the child behind him spoke. The child said, "We were sent to take you away." After saying that, the two children walked towards him. Cliff was so frightened that he ran away. In panic, he got into a room in his own house. Then he quickly locked the door and hid in the corner shivering. After he hid, the two little boys didn't yell or knock on the door, as if they didn't exist. He hid in the house for an hour. After an hour, he plucked up the courage to open the door, rushed out of the house and ran to a friend's house nearby. He told his friend what happened, and at first his friend thought he was lying. Cliff explained it many times, and his friend followed him back to Cliff's house with doubts. After returning, the two little boys had disappeared. Regarding the truth about the black-eyed boy, there are three popular hypotheses among the people. The first hypothesis is that the black-eyed boy is most likely a certain kind of demon, a derivative of Western vampires and a derivative of urban legend. The second hypothesis is that the black-eyed boy is just a prank. The third hypothesis is that there really is such a creature, or in other words, such a human being. These three hypotheses are relatively common. First of all, the black-eyed boy often appears without warning. The person involved suddenly encounters this thing without noticing the boy's existence. To sum it up in one word, it appears out of thin air. The second point is that among all the sightings of boys with black pupil today, the appearance and behavioral characteristics of the boy with black pupil are very distinct. All the eyes are completely black without the white of the eyes. They are often children or teenagers, and they are very polite in language. The third point is that the black-eyed boy seems to have to get the invitation or permission of the person involved, otherwise he seems to be unable to do anything. The fourth point is that there is no record of this black-eyed boy attacking anyone. It just gives people a terrifying sense of oppression and does not seem to be very aggressive. Teenagers with dark eyes often need the permission or invitation of the person involved before they can take the next step. In some traditional European folk tales, this setting is mostly found in stories about ghost vampires. For example, this form is relatively common in the movie Twilight. Modern vampire images tend to be gentlemen. The person involved in the first incident involving a boy with black eyes was named Besso, who was a reporter and a forum moderator. After the encounters of the black-eyed boy appeared on the internet, he often participated in the reports of these encounters, often helping to spread them, and he often shared some similar encounters. Judging from Besso's behavior, it can be inferred that he should be deliberately promoting such a story, which inevitably makes people suspicious of his motives. Whether his previous experiences were true or fabricated, he is a reporter and a forum moderator. He has enough motivations, whether it is to become famous for himself or to make his forum better and better. Well, it's all possible, and the more important thing is later. There is a website abroad dedicated to breaking down some rumors and rumors. Starting in 2013, the story of the boy with black eyes began to spread widely on the internet. At the same time, the most important thing is that on this website, people dug up a video released in 2013, which was placed in the cracked version of Strange Creatures. The content of the video is about a little boy with a fever. The little boy is very small, almost like a baby. At the same time, this boy has very serious dark circles under his eyes. The introduction below the video says that the children in the video are often retouched and then posted to other websites to spread rumors, claiming to have discovered aliens, strange creatures, and the like. Around the time this video was released in 2013, pictures similar to this appeared frequently on the internet, and the boy with black eyes was one of them. Therefore, combining these points, the conclusion of the boy with black pupil as an urban legend is basically confirmed. Is it possible that black eyeballs really exist? Is it possible that boys with black pupils exist? Nearly pure black eyeballs are not uncommon. Newborn babies often have very black eyes. Sometimes the pupil cannot be seen unless you look carefully. From a distance, it seems that the entire eye is black. However, as you grow older, it will gradually become normal. Many diseases can cause the whites of the eyes to darken, so if you encounter a serious condition, it can easily be misunderstood. There is a condition called mydriasis. Usually when the light is insufficient, the eyes will have a series of reactions. When the light is insufficient, the pupil will dilate to increase the light. If the eyes don't just have this problem when the light is low, then it is abnormal. It is called mydriasis, but even if the pupil is dilated, the iris and pupil area become black, and the whites of the eyes are still there, but the phase is still there. In comparison, the black area is larger and more scary. However, if the dark circles are thick and there are other eye diseases, it is really easy to develop dark pupils if you don't look carefully. There is also the simplest way, which is to use colored contact lenses. If you want to play a prank on a boy with black eyes, contact lenses are definitely the best prop. Although completely black contact lenses are not hard to buy, what kid would do that? The strangest thing is, all the black-eyed boys seem to be sending out a creepy radio wave. Everyone who met them felt threatened, panicked, and even dizzy. And the children's persistence in requests is also scary. Let us not forget a conclusion found in many religions: the devil needs a person's invitation to enter a house or occupy a person's body. And choosing a child as a carrier is also very smart. Because people are more likely to accept a request from a child who comes to their door asking for help than an adult. Some occult enthusiasts explain that the legend of the boy with black eyes is obviously similar to the stories of demons and vampires. Where did they come from? Why come? Maybe you won't know until you open the door.